Hello, this is Bob Schroyer of Nancy's Knacks. Today I'm going to show you a new product that is an option for the heavy-duty ball winder. And we're going to call it the Ultra Mini Yarn Ball Core. If you recall, we make a whole line of different tube sizes with which to mount your yarn after you wind it on the ball winder. The Ultra Mini is going to be a much smaller tube. As you can see, it's mounted on top of the small diameter spindle right there. That's a modified small diameter spindle. You can see we chopped it off basically. And in a moment I'm going to show you what's inside. So I'm going to unmount this, and what you do is you unscrew this knob. Now I'm going to shorten the length of that thread to about 1/2 of what it is there. It's about a 1/2 inch right now. And I'll reduce that maybe to 1/4, or it has to be the same as the diameter of the thread, so it'll probably go to a length of 5/16. But anyway, this tube slides right over that shaft. Now this is something that we had been asked to do, not really in this design. This is our own unique design right now, but we had been asked to come up with a way to mount yarn on a much smaller tube. And this system does just that. Now here I'm going to start it up. Somehow I think my beginning there was a little screwed up, but we'll see in a moment. The only trick to this process is, since we don't have a way to tie the yarn down effectively to the Ultra Mini Core, you sort of have to wrap it around a few times and get it snug, and then still maintain some tension on it until the ball gets going. So we have to fine-tune the tension in general on the setup here. Once you find the sweet spot for the tension, then that'll be the way to do it. Okay, you may ask, well, why would somebody want to put yarn on a small tube like that? And essentially, it's for anyone who is selling very small samples or giving small samples away. The jewelry people that work with yarn and jewelry items have often requested that. Anybody who works with the way they card up yarn for the embroidery and other needle crafts, where they put it on a card, they generally wrap the yarn around a flat card. And coming up with a tool to actually wind something like that is not so easy. But using a ball winder, it is. Now that we've solved the problem of how do you get the tube small enough, and we think we've done that with that shaft. So essentially, that shaft is a 3/8 inch steel shaft. It's got a 5/16 18 thread on the end, which we then can use a knob that will end up pushing down the tube. And by pushing the tube down, we can put one on here, I'll show you. And again, I'm going to reduce the number of threads on there so it's not such an ordeal to get the tube off, or the knob off. But basically, let me get in the screen here properly. But that puts downward pressure on that tube, which pushes it against the wood. So now it's not going to move. That thing is locked on there right now, and yet it's not a process in which it damages the tube in any way. So once again, the thread will be cut in half. Whoops. The tube will come right off after you've loaded it, and we will have different size tubes, which I'm going to show you. I was just doing some testing and confirmed that some of the dimensions have to change on a number of items here. Now you'll see I've got two Ultra Mini cores on that spindle. One of them is 1 3/8 tall, and the other one is, well, I think it's like 3/4 of an inch. And what I'm going to do is to modify some of these dimensions. For example, we're going to increase the height of the wood to take up the space where the white washers are right now. that'll have a tendency so that we can use just the one size of the ultra mini cores, which will be 1 3/8. That'll be the size we use. It gives us a little bit room, up and down for variation in, different setups and things like that. We have to hit pretty much in the middle of that core. And the machine itself will always put the yarn in the middle of that particular spindle height. There's really no way to vary that. That's determined by the geometries of the system. So what we have to do is adapt the height of the wood, where we put the knob on. So some of the modifications we will make, therefore we'll lower the knob, raise the wood, and we'll eliminate one of those ultra mini cores in there that's acting as a spacer right now. And we will essentially just have a 1 3/8 inch tall core that you'll put the yarn onto. And that's the way we're going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to unload this. And here you can see on that little ball came out. Now it's not going to be like a ball per se. You don't have enough yarn to build up there. But it's putting the yarn on there in the same manner it would as a regular ball. So we'll load up again. I'll show you how the thing works. I'm coming from a cone which has no tension, and I don't have it on one of our yarn pits, unfortunately. I just have it sitting in a bowl on the floor so it doesn't tip over. So there's no tension. Because of that, you really need to add your own tension. And again, I'm going to modify the heights of these. So basically, you're just going to have this section here at the right height. Oops. Always wind it in the direction that it's turning. We should put one more turn on there. Okay, and that's how it works. So you'll be able to put, a lot of yarn in there, relatively speaking, for the types of applications which need to use a ultra mini core in the first place. But in any event, that's right. And the spindle will be a little pricier than our normal spindle because we have to come up with a couple other processes to make that spindle, so that'll raise the cost of that. But that's a interchangeable part in the sense that you could swap between your regular spindle, your small diameter spindle, or this ultra spindle, whatever I'm going to end up calling it. I'm not quite sure at this point, but it'll be another version of a spindle that you can use on the heavy-duty ball winder. Okay, thanks.